At this point, you might wonder, why does this matter? Why is it an important issue? In particular, why should we be so concerned about people's ability to live by their objections to other people's behavior? After all, the idea is supposed to be to allow people to live the kind of life that they want to live. Here's why I think this is a major difficulty that both libertarianism and liberalism have to deal with. What we want to avoid is a situation in which we, in effect, only allow one set of moral principles to be taken seriously. Now, why is this a danger? Well, the danger is the following. If we always come down on the side of the person who wants to engage in self-regarding behavior against people who disapprove of that behavior, then we end up sorting everything into one of two categories. On one hand, things that we consider harm to others, and should be stopped. And on the other hand, things that people have unlimited freedom to engage in. And so basically, there's no room for us to say, well, look, this is an issue in which we're going to respect equally freedom to engage in it and to oppose it. So let me give an example. One example would be vegetarianism. Suppose that we agree, we are looking at the issue of vegetarianism. And someone says, well, it doesn't seem to violate the harm principle. So in any case where we have to make a decision, in any case where there's a conflict of interests or a conflict of goals, we will always systematically come down on the side of the people who want to eat meat. Why? Well, because the vegetarians are disapproving of a certain behavior, eating meat, whereas typically the carnivore isn't necessarily disapproving of the other person's behavior. They aren't telling the vegetarians they can't do something. Typically, they're not telling them they have to eat meat. It's the vegetarians that are disapproving of the other person's behavior. Now, suppose that we say anytime there's a thing about, say, how something would affect the cost of things or what we'll do at a cooperative activity or public activity, we systematically favor the people who approve of a wider variety of behaviors. Well, that sure seems like it's loading the dice against vegetarians. It's really cramping their ability to take their vegetarianism seriously. Now, suppose we push this outward and we do it to a whole range of behaviors. Well, then it seems like we're going towards a situation where if something is regarded as not harmful to others, then society is always coming down on the side of the people who want to engage in it versus the people who disapprove of it. Which is essentially, if it goes across the board, to say what we do is we pick out a core set of behaviors that we regard as harmful to others and therefore publicly objectionable. And everything else, has to be privatized. That's a difficulty. If we go too far in that direction, then we're not creating a society where people can adopt and take seriously a variety of moral perspectives. We're always coming down on the side of the lowest common denominator. And that seems problematic as a principle of liberty. Now, perhaps you disagree. That's something we can discuss on the boards. But I think that you can see why someone would consider this a move away from what liberalism and libertarianism are supposed to be about.